Hey guys, welcome back! Colleges are reopening in the UK, which means a lot of you are going to move to the UK over the next few days or weeks and start your courses or have already got here. Which also means you've now realized how expensive the UK is, so you need that part-time job if you plan on going on a night out, buying any clothes or accessories, or even taking a small little holiday. Well, the good thing is working part-time is very common in the UK, which means you have tons and tons of options on jobs that you can get in the UK. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down all the kinds of jobs you can get, how much they pay, what to do and what not to do to start earning for part-time jobs for international students in the UK. I'm also going to be breaking down what is considered as illegal jobs in the UK, the ever tricky question on whether you can work as a delivery driver for Uber or Deliveroo or anything else in the UK, and how you can move around the system so that you can still earn. With that, I'm Ashika and let's dive in. Let's start off with the basics. How many hours can you work in the UK as an international student? The simple answer is you can work up to 20 hours per week as an international student in the UK. What you need to keep in mind is that you can't average your hours out, which means you can't work more hours one week and lesser hours the next week and try and average it out. That doesn't work. This also includes paid and unpaid jobs, so even if you're volunteering, the hours are still counted under your 20 hours. And if you basically work more than 20 hours in a week, you stand the chance of having your visa get cancelled or revoked. So don't do that. However, during your vacations, you are allowed to work full-time, but of course it depends on the duration of your course, the length of your course, all the finer details about your course. So it makes a lot of sense to check this with your university before you take up anything full-time during the holidays. So what's the minimum you can get paid? Well, the good news is the UK has a basic minimum wage that you absolutely need to be paid. If you're between 18 and 20 years, you need to be paid at least £7.49 per hour. If you're between 20 and 21, it's £10.18 per hour. And if you're 23 years and above, you need to be paid at least £10.42 per hour. And these are all the latest numbers that the government of the UK has shared. Now, if you're being offered lower than this, please remember you are being cheated, so don't go for that. Alright, so let's talk about what you can and can't do in the UK. It's really important for you to understand that when you are in the UK as an international student, you are not allowed to be self-employed. And that's really important, and let me explain why. Most students think being self-employed means setting up your own business, and while it is true, it's not limited to that. Being self-employed also includes freelancing and being a consultant. This basically means you are technically not allowed to be a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or post on TikTok if you are earning from these brands either through revenue from YouTube or Google or through brands that pay you to post content on their behalf. What this basically means is you are allowed to post on your channel, you are allowed to create content documenting your entire journey, but you are not allowed to earn any money from social media. Now, if you've heard elsewhere and if you don't believe me, check YouTube, check Google, and check with your university. It is illegal to earn as a content creator from any social media channel in the UK while you're on an international student visa. What about if you had a YouTube channel in the past and you're earning passive income through videos you had posted previously? Well, that falls under a really grey area, so the best thing to do would be to ask your university if it is illegal or legal for you to still receive income from that. Something else you're not allowed to do legally is be a delivery driver for Uber or Deliveroo or any other company like this, because again, it counts as being self-employed. When it comes to freelancing, remember again, you cannot legally freelance in the UK as an international student because again, it counts as being self-employed. You also are not allowed to busk on the road, that is sing, dance, perform of any sort, or perform stunts for money, any of that, because it counts as being an entertainer, which again is illegal because you're self-employed. I know it sounds extremely unfair, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Now, despite this, a lot of people still decide to become delivery drivers or freelance or create content for YouTube and get paid. And very often they work with middlemen to get this entire process done. But here's the thing, the way I see it, and especially because I am an extremely risk-averse person, being a delivery driver or earning on YouTube or any of that is genuinely not worth the risk, because if you get caught, your visa could get cancelled. And let's be honest, you spent a ton of money to move to the UK in the first place, right? Through your tuition, through your visa costs, your housing accommodation costs, all of that amounts to quite a bit of money. And if you get caught, because it is the obligation of an employer or of your university or pretty much anybody else to report you if they find you doing illegal things. your visa could get cancelled. And this could also hamper your future opportunities of getting a visa in the UK. So the next time you apply for a visa in the UK, you might not get an acceptance. You might get your visa rejected. So if it were up to me, I would definitely not recommend any of these. Now, speaking of mistakes students make when moving to the UK, one massive mistake is not securing accommodation before getting to the UK, or opting for an accommodation option in the UK that you aren't 100% sure of. I mean, you've probably heard the stories where students get stuck with horrible, shoddy accommodation or end up with terrible landlords. A really good option to consider over here is for you to book your accommodation before you get to the UK. And one really good website that lists out such good options for good properties in the UK is Amber. The listings are verified, so you don't have to worry about getting conned. There's an expert one-on-one assistance if you have any questions, and a price match guarantee, which basically means that if you see a property listed for lower anywhere else, Amber will match the price, which is great if you ask me. And the rooms look pretty great too. So avoid yourself the hassle of having to look for accommodation after you get here by booking accommodation in advance through Amber. Now, coming back to what you can do instead, the good news is there are some workarounds. If you enjoy creating content, start a YouTube channel and start documenting your journey. But don't opt for optimization when you cross the threshold. Wait till you're done with your course, and then as soon as you're done with your course, turn on the monetization. And while you are waiting during the length of your course and you are posting, use this time to build yourself as an authority figure in whatever you're talking about, so that the minute you are done with your course, you can start signing up with brands who have seen your work over the past few years and want to work with you. Also use this time to improve your skills as a YouTuber. When it comes to Instagram and TikTok, again, you can't get paid by brands. But what you can do in the meantime is, again, use this time to build or establish yourself as an influencer. Once you start building your Instagram channel or your TikTok channel, you'll realize that you start getting invited for events or PR events in the UK. And this means you get to meet other influencers, you get special access to events that other people can't attend, and sometimes you get freebies as well. Anything that is not a payment for your services works. London, for instance, has tons of events that invite influencers to just come visit the event. And there's no expectations. If you post, that's great, and if you don't, it's all right too. It's an absolutely great way for you to build your network. And based on the sponsors at the events, you sometimes get free electronics, free accessories, and a lot of other stuff. Now, it doesn't help with paying the bills, but it's nice to consider it as something you can do along with a part-time job that covers your 20 hours. Now, when it comes to those 20 hours, you have lots of options to consider. Many students in the UK start working in warehouses of larger companies like Amazon, Tesco, Aldi. Another popular option is to work in retail for companies like Zara and H&M, where you can work as a retail assistant. Or you can work as a customer service representative. You could work for a fast food chain like KFC or McDonald's, or pretty much any pub or Starbucks. So many options. You could also work as a home carer or a caregiver. There are multiple options. The only thing you need to remember here is that you should ideally work with a company or an agency and not directly with anyone, or that might be considered self-employment. Most of the larger organizations like Amazon, for instance, work through agencies. So if you're looking for a job like that, you should ideally come to the UK and get in touch with an agency, as they will then connect you with Amazon or hire you on behalf of Amazon. And the other good thing is that most of these jobs often do not require any prior experience. The important thing for you to remember is to try and get a job which pays you as much as possible per hour, so that you can put in less hours, because especially when you start nearing your exams, you ideally want to work less and not more, but still have enough money. Now, that being said, it's not like you can't get jobs based on your previous work experience. For instance, you could work in a marketing agency as a graphic designer on a part-time basis. Just bear in mind that these jobs are a little more difficult to come by versus the other jobs which don't require any experience. But the good thing is, if you do land such a job, first of all, it adds to your experience, so that's absolutely great. And the second thing is, if you do a really good job, your employer may consider retaining you once you're done with your studies and offering you a skilled worker visa. It's not very often that this happens, but if you're really good at your job, you never know. And as with most part-time jobs, you can expect to get paid every Friday for the previous week's work. So if you work from Monday to Friday, expect to get paid the next Friday for this Friday's work. Now, let me give you an idea of how much you can earn via part-time jobs in the UK. Private tutors earn approximately £24.5 an hour. Data entry clerks get £14.98 an hour. Event planners get £14.36 an hour. Dog walkers get £12.5 an hour. Waiters or waitresses get £12.18 per hour. Customer service representatives get approximately £11.13 an hour. Library assistants get anywhere from £10 to £15 an hour. Warehouse workers get £10.08 an hour. Baristas get £9.97 an hour. And home care workers get about £9.42 an hour. Now, something you should remember is that while some of these rates are lower than the national average, you have to remember it's averages, so it also includes people who are lower than 23, lower than 21 and 18 years, and that's why there's a varied number here. And if you don't know where to find these jobs, it's really simple. Start off with the job portals, the trusted ones. Just go to Reed, for instance, and type out part-time jobs. Right now, there's a customer assistant role at Lidl, which pays £11.4 to £12.3 per hour. If you head over to Indeed right now has an opening for a school business manager in Danehill, posted by the East Sussex County Council for 20 hours and pays £32,037 to £34,452 a year. Likewise, there's LinkedIn, and now they have an opening on LinkedIn for Swatch for a part-time retail sales advisor. Now, of course, you can also check agencies, but I suggest you go with agencies for whom you've received some amount of feedback from your seniors, from your friends, or people who have already gotten jobs through them. Another question a lot of students have is whether they can switch from a student visa in the UK to a skilled worker visa while they are still at university and still doing their course. In the past, a lot of students have switched, but right now, unfortunately, the government has banned it. So while you're studying in the UK and you're in the UK on a student visa, you technically are not allowed to switch to a skilled worker visa. If, however, you feel a company really values you and they've offered you a skilled worker visa, ask them to hold off until you finish your course, and then of course you can make the switch. In the meantime, you can always do a part-time job for them or intern for them or something like that. If you do happen to switch while you are still on your student visa, you will be in breach of your student visa. Your visa could get cancelled and you may be asked to leave the country. Now, I'm sure you're really excited about studying in the UK and you can't wait to get started. And to help you enjoy your time in the UK, I've actually made a video on the mistakes students typically make in the UK so that you can avoid those mistakes. Now, if you need any information on this, watch this.